Hello and welcome to In the Corner with your host, Mighty Mouse. It's Friday. Yay! Your boss has been a drag. Work has been bringing you down. Your old lady's been after you to cut the grass, do the laundry, wash the dish. Oh, wait a minute. That's my old lady. Anyways, if you've been having a hard time all week, you can find a refuge here in the corner with me. Remember, what happens in the corner stays in the corner. Tonight, we have a fun-filled packed show. We're going to cover WTAs, whole tobacco alkaloids. Now, some of you are out there going to say, yay, somebody's finally talking about this. Or, what are WTAs? Or, you better not mention WTAs, they're bad. So like I told another colleague of mine earlier this week, after the end of the show, I feel like I'm going to be like Frankenstein being chased down the road with torches. I'm about to make some new friends, and feel like I'm going to make some new enemies. Either way, just information, you make the correct choice. But first, the weekly recap.
The Weekly Recap. Last week on In the Corner, auto batteries dissected. A Vapor Trails flashback. Smoke the Vapes broken and fixed silver bullet. Mighty Mouse fixes his silver bullet. Dave returns from Munich to Dave's tackle box. And there's an investigation into Lady Lederhosen. Dave discussed the dual coil 510 Addy and how to install it in a GG-UFS. Monday on the Vapor Mist with Jim and Andy, the two discuss the bottom coil cartomizer. Jim descends 760 feet from the Newport transfer bridge and raises 480 pounds for Click Sergeant. Tuesday on the Witching Hour with Cat and Sav, Tobacco Ice and Raspberry Ice are reviewed from iVapor Elixir. Cat struggles to open a bottom dual coil cartomizer, then notices how furry it is. A trip to Driftfield is announced on VTTV. Ben from UK eLiquid shows up and shows off the new unskirted Mega DCC. And Smoke the Vape announces a brief return to VTTV. The Haze Hour goes mobile and meets Totally Wicked at the Bluebell Pub in Driftfield, where it is announced that the Bluebell is the first 100% vapor-friendly bar. Vapor Trails TV's own Sav is one of many covered by the BBC and ITV on the evening and morning news shows. And Dave loans Keith his Darwin. This has been the Weekly Recap.
This week at Vapor Trails TV has been so exciting. First, Dave Kitson makes it back in time from Munich to do his show on Sunday. Jim does that spectacular, what do they call it, rappel from that 760-foot high bridge and raises money for Click Sergeant. Cat and Sav are actually able to run videos now. And Wednesday, the announcement of Smoke the Vape to come back on a limited basis is going to be fantastic. It feels like the whole family's starting to come back together. And Thursday, oh my God, the television coverage of the Bluebell Bar, not only on the evening news, but the morning news. I believe that was the day after. I'm so glad I got to see that coverage, because here in the States, for some reason, the UK doesn't want that to be viewed other than, I don't know, maybe just the UK. So, that was fantastic. Kudos to Dave, or cheers, or chim chimio, or whatever you say over there when you're happy. Yippee! That was fantastic. And I am so glad to be a part of the Vapor Trails team. And I'm so glad to have you here as a Vapor Trails viewer, because hold on, it's going to be like a rocket ride here pretty soon. I can feel it. I can feel it. Oh, national news. I'm going to have to get a picture of my head so I can sign autographs. Ooh. And now I can request only brown M&Ms in my dressing room. Wow. I might be able to request some beer. Don't you just love it when your better half drinks all the beer and doesn't buy any more? I'm going to have to do this show sober. So, I'm not going to say anyways. Birthday greetings. Here they are. Happy birthday, guys and gals. Now, I'm getting all that information off of UK Vapors. I will display my email address for most of the show. Here it goes. Look at that. Just like magic. I want to hear from you. I know you guys are gabbers. I see it in the chat room every day. You guys just talking about everything from, I don't know, vaping to thongs. If you have a birthday, your nephew, your niece, your dog, your cat, your goldfish, send them to me. I would love to put them up here and wish them a happy birthday. I think it's a good segment. We should always have a little cheer in our day-to-day life. So, now it's time for the emails. I received an email all the way from Japan from a person named Hikito. Hikito says he enjoys watching Vapor Trails TV, and he can't watch it live, but he does catch the replays. Hikito's been vaping for a month now. He had been a smoker for 10 years. He started out with the manual battery, which had the regular cartomizer on it, and he fell into the same situation many of us do. The battery not lasting and the juice not lasting. And he's a very, very busy person, just like most of us, and he doesn't really have the time to keep on filling cartridges or cartomizers. So he had seen the Mega Dual Coil Cartomizer and had done some research and found out that it holds up to 5 mils of juice. And he thought this would be absolutely the best thing that he's ever had as far as a vaping product up until this point. The question he has is that he used a condom to fill his regular cartomizer, but when he got his Mega in, he noticed his condoms were too small, like many of us do. So he wanted to get some advice on how to fill the Mega Dual Coil Cartomizer. Well, you're in luck. The night I had mentioned the Mega Dual Coil Cartomizer, that was the night my Silver Bullet pooped out on me, and I was going to show everyone how to fill it, or at least the way I fill it. And some of you have already learned how to fill in this fashion. Hikito, if you're watching, Minicam's still not feeling good, so. And this one doesn't have autofocus, so if I go like this, like, whoa. Hikito, a small syringe like this, either through one of your vendors that carry e-juice, or go down to the drugstore and get yourself a hypodermic and try to make it a blunt needle. Okay, you don't want sharp stuff around the house, or if you accidentally drop it and it ends up in the shag carpet, if anybody has shag carpet, and you go to step on it and you go, ah! Well, you won't get that. Well, the chances of not getting that are pretty good with a blunt end needle. Okay? Now, what you will do is take your favorite juice and pop the lid. Don't look, people. Okay. My fingers aren't strong enough what my teeth are. Take the bottle. Now, I have learned to use the syringe with the needle on it. You can take it off, fill it up, and then pop it back on. But here lately, I've just been lightly dropping the needle into the solution. Okay. And then just yank on it. Now, like you said, your juice is thick, and so is mine. Stop it! So what I do is I pull the syringe shafty thing all the way up, and if you can see, the juice is slowly but surely being sucked to the top. Now, once it reaches the top, all right, do 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 do. There it is. Take it out. Shake it off. You don't want to get your juice all over the place. Now here is my Mega Dual Coil Cartomizer, which is the clear version. Oh, before I go any further, those came with like stickers on it or something, painted stickers. So what I did is I took them off because it just looked too girlish, you know, and I'm a man. So if you would like to remove your stickers, take a razor blade and don't point it that way, but lightly pull it down and away from the sticker, and eventually it comes off. You see there's no scratch marks. But when I did that with the black painted one, I got some scratch marks. So what I did is I scratched it all off, and I took some sandpaper, and as I was twisting it, I would move the sandpaper up and down and twisting it, and it left a really, really nice looking design on there. So you can't see it on this camera. Maybe I should just put mini camera out to pasture. But if you want to take the paint off, go right ahead. Just make sure you don't get it inside the cartomizer. Okay, back to this, Hikito. You want to remove your cartomizer in any size off of your mod before you fill it. Now you remove the large nipple. Boy, these. I see what you did. I see what you did. Now, as you can see, like we had talked earlier in the month, or last month as a matter of fact, about tank mods. And the advantage about a tank mod is that it actually keeps the polyfill filled, and you don't have this constant contraction and absorption and contraction and absorption and contraction and absorption, and it doesn't warp the polyfill because it's always full of juice. As you can see, let me see if you can see it. You notice that there's the polyfill. I've been using this for about 2 weeks now. It's shrinking. It's shrinking. That doesn't help me because it really doesn't grow when you get it wet. Stop it. But I don't know if it's actually absorbing as much as before. Now, Hikito, what I do is I take the blunt object and work it in between the polyfill and the plastic. Well, I'm really sorry, guys. This camera's not picking up much. And then gently squeeze some juice on that side. And then I wiggle it and I gently squeeze some juice on this side. And then I gently squeeze some juice on this side. Now let's see if we can't fill the top here where the gap is. You see that gap? It's still in there. I don't know if that's permanently deformed. I don't know. And then take the rest of it and just lightly squeeze it back into the bottle. I did that last week, and the needle went shooting off into the bottle. Felt like Mr. Fisherman trying to get it out of there. But getting back to the polyfill, I don't know if that is permanent or if that's going to keep the dual coil mega cartomizer from absorbing as much juice as it should. I mean, if it holds 5 mils, is it eventually going to only hold 3 or 2 or nothing? I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I've been vaping this nonstop. And when it does finally dry up or shrivel up or, in Cat's opinion, turns nasty brown, I will let you know. I will keep you informed. You'll see it here on In the Corner with your host, MightyMouse. Now, Hikito, now you've filled it, okay? You want to replace the nipple. Now, with this cartomizer being in this shape with the polyfill shrinking somewhat, I don't have too much faith in it holding all the juice I put in there. So Hikito, just gently take a napkin and gently blow on the nipple. As you can see, some came out. Now I really want to get those skirtless megas, because it would be a lot easier to wipe the juice off of the 510 battery connector without the skirt on here. Okay. Now, another thing, Hikito, if you're using an adapter, which in your email you didn't say if you had an Ego battery or what you were using to attach this. If you are using an adapter, you notice that the adapters have holes in them. Okay, these holes will allow the juice to get down into the 510 battery connection into your mod. So whenever I replace a mod or anything, I always try to dry out the well of the battery connector every time. Now, some people have been putting silicone in the holes, which for an adapter is fine. You still got the holes at the top that are going to allow you to toke on your electric cigarette. Now, this attachment isn't as bad as some of the other ones. I've got a mini attachment with a sliding. Yeah, you know who you are. It cut my grommet inside my silver bullet and grounded out the wire and almost had a nuclear explosion. Anyways, Hikito, always attach your these things, adapters, to your mod first, okay, and then attach your dual coil mega cartomizer. Now, last time I tried my silver bullet on the air, it didn't work. Let's see what happens now. Now, for you that are trying the new dual mega cartomizer, the big thing with the big nipple, when I first got it, I was put off from it a little bit. I said, my gosh, that's such a big thing in my mouth. And I wasn't used to it. And the toking of it was more or less a instead of so. But I've gotten used to it. And as a matter of fact, when I go back to a regular dual coil cartomizer, it feels like a toothpick. You will get used to it and stick with it. I believe you'll enjoy it. A lot of us have, the ones that have been using them, and once the skirtless ones come out, I'm going to be in nipple heaven. So, when we come back after the commercial break, the big question, what is a WTA? Stay tuned.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey up, are you alright?
Hi.
We'll be right there. Put a silly hat on.
The light side up.
That's a recipe. And good evening, one and all. Here we are with tonight's VT Talk.
And quite a few questions coming in already.
Yes, going live in 3, 2, 1. Pardon me, please.
Okay, now down to the business of whole tobacco alkaloids. I've got 3 points of information tonight. I've got 2 YouTube videos, and also I have some information on a vendor that is actually manufacturing WTAs and selling them. Okay? Tonight, or first, we have a gentleman that has been doing some tobacco cost-saving videos on YouTube. He hasn't been on YouTube for about 3 years, and I believe this video even came out in 2008 or 2009. Okay. His method is soaking snus. Now, let's back up a little bit. WTA, whole tobacco alkaloids. The reason this is becoming popular in some circles, small circles, big circles, I just hope it don't get too big. Some smokers that have made the switch to vaping find that there's something missing in their lives. They've come to the conclusion that it's the missing alkaloids in cigarette or in vaping juice. Vaping juice contains PG or VG or the mix of both. It contains water. It contains nicotine. That's about it. Okay? Now, traditionally, a tobacco leaf, if you were to go outside and pick one off the ground, I even found out there's tobacco trees. That would be a strange fruit. It was like tobacco apples. If you took a tobacco leaf, 95% of the alkaloid in a tobacco leaf is nicotine. The other 5% are a whole list of chemicals, compounds. I'm not a chemist, nor do I play one on TV. These are the alkaloids that many struggling vapors think they need in order to make their vaping experience successful. Okay? There's 2 different methods I'm going to show you today. One is soaking snus, which is a small package of tobacco or a small pouch that you put in your mouth, and I believe you suck on it or you let it dissolve. Just kind of like chewing tobacco, but in a nice little pillow. Okay? This person's method is to take it and soak it. Now, what I want you to notice in the video, now all you YouTube watchers that go to YouTube for your information on vaping, you have to ask yourself these questions. Who is this person? What does this person know? Is he explaining everything correctly? Should I take his advice? Okay? I enjoy vaping because it's better for me. And I'm going to say it, healthier for me. Okay? Let the MHRA and FDA come to my house. I've got something for them. It's healthier for me. Okay? And I've lost my train of thought. I'm going to go right through this. I'm going to think of something. If you notice in this video, the snus package that he settles on, he starts guessing of what's in there. He doesn't know. He bought it, but he doesn't know the nicotine level. He's starting to guess what's in there. It could be anything. I think he even says there's like baking soda in there. I don't know what it's like to put baking soda in vegetable glycerin or glycinol and then vape it, put it to heat. What does baking soda turn into when it puts to heat? I don't know. My grandmother used to cook with it. I don't want a donut in my lung. So if you're going to YouTube, now everybody and their brother has a YouTube video on vaping, which is great. You know, if you're going to talk about the mod, or if you're going to talk about, you know, hey, this cherry juice is great, I recommend trying it. But if you're going to go on there and make assumptions or made up theories on, you know, maybe it should be done this way, or should it be done that way, or go ahead and try it, you know, then you're not doing your research complete. Now here at Vapor Trails TV, I know Kat is real good about mixology, okay? But she has even shied away from it because what she may recommend or what she may say may mistakenly harm someone, okay? People have had bad reactions to PG. I would say it's probably less than 2%. That's a made-up number, but I only know 2 people out of everybody I've known that said that they get like a tingling sensation in their mouth from PG, okay? VG, I'm going to say that has a 2% problem because smoke to vape and maybe 1 or other 2 people I know have a bad reaction down there. It makes them run a lot, if you know what I mean. Why these reactions happen, I don't know. Who knows? There are so many chemical combinations, so many heat factors, so many of everything. No wonder it takes 3 to 5 years to figure out what this one particular product does to the human body and to the environment. So I'm going to show you this video. And when you watch it, come up with these questions in your head. You know, what is this guy telling me? So I will be right back after this video.
The Vapor Trails TV disclaimer.
The information presented on Vapor Trails TV is provided as is without any representation or warranties expressed, implied, or statutory, including but not limited to the implied warranties of performance, merchantability, or fitness for a particular purpose. The owners make no representation or warranties that the information presented on Vapor Trails TV will be timely, complete, or accurate. Your use and reliance on this information is at your own risk. You assume full responsibility and risk of loss, including physical injury resulting from the use of this information. Vapor Trails TV, its owners, officers, employees, agents, and/or representatives will not be liable for any direct, indirect, special, incidental, consequential, or punitive damages whatsoever, whether in an action based upon statute, contract, tort, including without limitation, negligence, or otherwise relating to the use and reliance on this information or the use of this web broadcast.
This has been the Vapor Trails TV disclaimer.
Hi there, here with more ways to save money on your tobacco habit. And today I have some very exciting news. Let's go to the back porch so I can show you what I mean. Okay, if you remember an earlier how to save money on your tobacco habit, then you will know that soaking a snus packet, a portion, in vegetable glycerin and then inserting it into a cartridge can make for very cheap vapor from an electronic cigarette. All right, but the problem we ran into is that regular portions, such as this one, this is the normal size, are just too big to stuff into even the pen style cart. So we go to the next size, which this happens to be a Thunder Frosted. This can be soaked in vegetable glycerin inside a spoon, and it will twist into a large pen style cart. But we still have the problem of how do we deal with these little carts, which I use in my Dura C. All right, we drop down to a really small one. This happens to be the Wine and Dine Purified White Mini. It's a very powerful nicotine product, but it's also a mini, and this too can be folded up, rolled up a little bit, and inserted into a pen style cart. We still had the problem. None of these, not the Camel, not the General Mini Mint, would fit into a small cart. Is a tester, one of 300 worldwide for a new snooze product. Look at this baby. It's about the size of a chiclet. When you soak it and roll it up a little bit and twist it in place, guess what? It fits in here. Not only does it fit in there, but it makes magnificent vapor. Now, there's a problem to me in that I'm testing these snooze. They're not on the market yet. I don't even know who makes them. I think they're made by General, by the way, given the style of the packaging. But I don't know the nicotine content. My guess is it's medium. and I know nothing else about it. It tastes a little bit like the energy snooze sold by Northerner. So that means it has a bit of honey and maybe some baking soda and some energy products in it. But the interesting thing is, this fits in this, goes in my Dura, and makes a smokestack out of it. Boy, I love Kahlua. Do your own experiments. Snus in the form of camel snus can be purchased at many local tobacco stores. You can order Swedish snus, including the Wine and Dine Tasteless, from Northerner, Get Snus, or BuySnus.com on the internet. Pick up your own vegetable glycerin at a health food store. Purchase some Bickford flavors online. I also have key lime for when I want a dessert vapor. And do your own experimentation. Nothing so far has worked as well as this Dura with the button trigger. Oh my goodness. The problem here is I'm not really crazy about the flavor of the vapor produced. So I'm going to experiment with adding some Kahlua to this instead of just vegetable glycerin and see what I get.
Interesting, isn't it? What some people will do to save a buck. Now, I blocked out his face and I took out his name that he was using in, I think, 2 or 3 instances. Because I don't know if he wants his identity known. But I can't stop you from going to YouTube and putting in WTA or SNUS or Cooking with SNUS or whatever, you know. If you want to go to YouTube and check it out, go right ahead. I can't tell you yay or nay, especially just seeing that type of version, okay? We're going to get to that. Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to see a person's suggestion on cooking snus in vegetable glycerin and their technical aspect on the whole thing of WTAs. Stay tuned. Well, I hope you've enjoyed some of the new spots we've been coming up with. I know some people have been getting really sick of some of the old ones. I actually have to redo my Barry Manilow to include me and possibly Andy Sutton once more. That would be nice to have Andy back. You know, I've missed his smiling face. He's almost as good looking as me. Well, we've gone over a little bit of WTAs. Now, I will be getting into a finer definition of WTAs once we get to the vendor section of tonight's show. But secondly, this next video, which is on YouTube, is about cooking snus. Now, I don't know if that's such a good idea. I don't know if any of these ideas are good, but we'll talk about that later on in the show. Right now, I'm just here to inform. I'm not trying to give too much of my own opinion. I have talked to a number of colleagues that I respect deeply, and we've all came to the same conclusion, and I will let you know what that conclusion is at the end of the show. Now, this person takes snus, and they guess about the nicotine level. I don't know if it's written on the box that they got it in or if they tried to get a hold of the company. This person really doesn't say. Okay. Sorry. Willow, you said you wanted Andy to smack himself last week like I do. There's a couple of Willow smacks. Anyways, this person cooks snus, doesn't know what the nicotine level is in the snus, and there's actually a section where they try to figure out, how much snus they put in and how much nicotine each one had. So the liquid must have this, but if you divide it by that, and blah 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 blah. What I call it is my bathtub laboratory segment. Here you go.
I'm going to try to teach you how to make snoo juice. Now, this is what the finished product should look like. It's dark and it's kind of thick, and at this point this is just snoo juice and 100% vegetable glycerin. How I made this was I got a tin of Odin snooze, some vegetable glycerin. You can use anything that says PSP or food safe on it, a beaker, and a pot of water. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got 50 milliliters of vegetable glycerin, at least half of that in your beaker. So we just go over here, fill that with 50 milliliters. Of vegetable glycerin. Now, we're not going to add any water to this because I don't want to do a reduction, because it's my experience that reductions do make things a lot stronger, and we just want to stick with something that's safe. So I'm going to boil the water, and then I'm going to put the beaker in it. Okay, this is my beaker with the vegetable glycerin in it, and I've submersed it in the pot. The water hasn't started boiling yet, and the reason why I'm doing this is I don't want the vegetable glycerin to go over 100 C, because if the vegetable glycerin starts to boil, which usually happens at a temperature over 100 C, there is a chance that, those are my doves, there's a chance that the vegetable glycerin could convert to acrolein.
When glycerol is heated to 280 degrees Celsius, it decomposes into acrolein. Acrolein is a severe pulmonary irritant and lacrimatory agent known as tear gas. It was used as a chemical weapon during World War I. It is, however, not outlawed by the Chemical Weapons Convention. Dermal exposure of acrolein to the eyes can cause severe irritation. Acrolein is not a suspected human carcinogen. No studies have been found conducted on the carcinogenic effects of acrolein on humans, but studies on rats have shown an increase in cancerous tumors from ingestion. In October 2006, researchers found connections between acrolein in the smoke from tobacco cigarettes and the risk of lung cancer. Due to its ability to damage myelin nerve sheaths, acrolein may be a factor in the development of multiple sclerosis.
Which is not too cool, and I'm not too sure if that's true or not, but I just don't want to take that chance. Okay, so this is where I'm going to take my snooze, and these are Odin snooze. Each one of these contains about 17 milligrams, I wish I could focus with this, 17 milligrams of tobacco. So I've had good success with using 6 of these, and you just put them right there into the vegetable glycerin, And now we're going to wait for the water to boil. Okay, after you boil your snoo juice for about 10 or 15 minutes, in fact, I didn't even really get the water boiling, I just warmed it up. This is what you get, which is kind of a caramel colored tea. And what you want to do with it is bottle it in an amber bottle and put it somewhere dark. And this is what you get once you put it in the bottle. You can see little snoo packets. If you smell it, there's not much smell to it right now. It takes about 5 or 6 days to get a smell. So then you take this and you put it somewhere dark for 20 days, and you shake it up every now and then. And this is the finished product. And you can see this is much darker than what was in the other beaker, and it's at this point 100% glycerin and snoo juice. Now, in theory, there's 102 potential milligrams of nicotine in this. That's the maximum there could possibly be in that. That's not the case, but each snoo contains 17 milligrams of nicotine, and there are 6 snoos, so that's 102 possible milligrams. What do I think you actually get from this? I think you get maybe a 3 or 4% nicotine transference into the vegetable glycerin, and that's it. I really can't see where it's any more concentrated than that. So the maximum possible that you can transfer with those snoos would be 102 milligrams, which would be a little bit north of 10%. And you want to stay away from that, because the maximum that seems to be safe that is sold by dealers is 3.9% pure nicotine. So how much is actually in here? I don't know. That's for somebody else to figure out.
Did that one leave you scratching your head? But can you see when someone gets a new toy and they put it on YouTube and they don't know what they're talking about and they just put it out there? You know, there's a lot of people that we can't protect because they're just naturally blah, 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 and they'll do something like that. Especially if you overheat vegetable glycerin. Now, the warning on that was glycerol. Well, glycerin is made from glycerol. And what I've found, the definition is basically they're the same. If you come from the United States, you might call it glycerin. If you come from the UK, you might call it glycinol. There may be some chemist out there right now throwing his shoe at the computer because he says, I don't know what I'm talking about. What I found is that glycerin is made from glycerol. Now, if it has the same characteristics as a World War I tear gas combination, I don't know. But that person in the video assumed that if you heated it up to 100 degrees Celsius, that past that point is the danger zone. Actually, it's 280. But what if it was like 50 degrees Celsius, or warming it up? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Their measurements are like, why did you settle on 50 milligrams and 6 things of snus? I mean, they didn't even know their calculations on how much nicotine was in there. Okay, we've had warnings on high uses of nicotine, or using pure nicotine in mixing, and having to wear rubber gloves, and the warnings of not getting it on your skin. Okay, and putting it in a dark room. You know, nasty things grow in the dark. Stop it. So, is there a fungicide growing on this stuff? Why in a dark bottle? Why in a dark room? We don't know because they didn't tell us. if they only make 50 milliliters at a time, why? I think she would have gotten more snus in that package to where she could have made 100 milliliters worth, right? I mean, if I'm hi-fi or something, hell, I'm pouring a whole gallon in there and throwing all the snus in there and going, come on, snus, boil. So when you get onto YouTube and you see these yahoos out there, okay, I don't mean to criticize, to put this person down. I don't know if it's a good person. I don't know if she watches babies during the day. She's the world's greatest babysitter. She's probably a nice person. I don't know that. But when it comes to this, when you walk into my territory and you try to put off something that may be useful to someone and not give all the information as possible, then you're getting into where I am going to criticize. It's like when I do a juice review. I want to find out, I want to call the vendor. I want to find out where they get the juice. If they make it themselves, how long have they been doing it? What type of safeguards do they instill to keep the customer safe? What kind of flavorings do they use? I think someone that gets on there and does a juice review, you know, if they know the vendor well, like I know Kat did a juice review this week. She knows that vendor well. She can trust that vendor. But when the EC Blend came on a few months ago and I did a juice review, I didn't know this vendor. Okay? So for you, I called him, or actually I emailed him, gave him a list of questions, and he answered them. Okay? Truthfully and honestly. I don't have any doubt that he gave me the right answer. I don't think he was feeding me a bunch of bull. That's one thing about vendors now in the e-liquid business. They're not there to gyp you, but there are gyppers out there. So something like this on YouTube comes on the air. I wish I could delete it. I really do. WTAs might be the best thing since sliced bread. It might be the holy grail of vaping. I don't know yet. But when we come back from the break, we're going to find out from a vendor their WTA and their take on it and how much information they make available to you as a vapor so you can make a reasonable conclusion. So as soon as we get back from the break, we'll be going over WTAs, the vendor's view. Woo.
VaporTrails.tv is brought to you by ec.co.uk, iVaporElixir.co.uk, Cloud9Vaping.co.uk, eLiquids.co.uk. We support our advertisers, they support us.
I love that new hi-fi spot. I was rocking out while it was playing. We've only got a few minutes left, and there's a lot of information from a company called Aroma. I'll throw their little thing up here. I think I put audio to it. Let's see here. Aroma Juice out of Arizona. They have a nice little introduction to WTAs on their website. I'll read some of it with you. It says, new e-juice coming. Welcome to Aroma e-juice. We are assuming you came to our site to learn more about our new line of e-liquid. This e-juice is also known as whole tobacco alkaloid. One of the developers, known as DVAP, coined this term WTA. This project has been long endeavored during the last 14 months. Some of the brightest people in the industry have put forth the effort to help produce a very unique e-juice that few have ever experienced. We have worked with the pioneer, who is widely known and quoted in the vaping community. Without his help, knowledge, and support, we would not be able to bring such an exotic e-juice to the community. Aroma e-juice also employs a professional doctorate chemist with over 20 years of experience in this field. Our goal is to produce some of the finest juice on the market. With the help and insight from highly educated and compassionate individuals, we are now able to introduce this new line of juice that will surprise the vaping community. We have been very pleased with the response from our excited testers during the beta testing phase. Please read our WTA FAQ. I guess that's FAQ. I never could figure out what FAQ stood for. Questions and answers. For more info and limited release date, please note our current line of e-juice listed in our store does not contain WTA or whole tobacco alkaloids and only contains nicotine, flavoring, propylene glycol, and glycerin. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email, blah, 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 blah. Now, as you can see, that vendor is very, very serious and very, very involved with the WTA movement, if you want to call it a movement. I would trust a vendor to try his WTA. As a matter of fact, he's currently out, but I will be getting a bottle. Now, these bottles are only 5 milliliters for $15. On the website it said 12, so I think they may have adjusted that since that information I got was from their question and answer page. Now, I did bring up a bunch of their pages. I was going to read a lot of the facts that they have listed on WTA. I would recommend going to their website, okay, and just put in aroma.com. I believe that's what their address is. Let me just make double sure. aromaejuice.com. That's AROMA juice.com. And go to their question and answer section, and I'm sure you will find what you need. Now, WTAs personally, I know I only got about 3 minutes here. When I decided to stop vaping, it was because of my girlfriend. My girlfriend's got emphysema, a slight touch of it. She's got asthma. It's been getting worse every year. She's got COPD. She's been hospitalized twice in the last 3 years, once for having low oxygen level, and the last time in January she had a mild frontal lobe stroke. I don't know if cigarette smoking caused all that. It couldn't have helped. So I decided to stop smoking because I love her. And she's having a hard time making the switch to vaping. And it may be because of the alkaloids that she may be missing. It may be psychological. I don't know like I was talking to Kat the other day, I still have these ghost feelings of grabbing a cigarette, but those feelings are fading. I mean, I had one this week. It was really weird. I was driving in a van. I thought I'd reach for a cigarette, but I haven't had one cigarette since September, and I'm really proud of that, because when I tried to quit smoking before, I'm not quitting, I'm switching. But when I had stopped using cigarettes before, it was a 2-month thing, 4-week thing, a 4-month thing, you know. I'm happy with the e-juice. But if you're out there and you're struggling and you're having a hard time, you're going, this e-juice is great, but there's something I'm missing. The camaraderie with the cigarette. Whenever you're sad, you had a cigarette. Whenever you're stressed, you had a cigarette. Whenever you're happy, you had a cigarette. When you had a meal, you had a cigarette. After having sexual contact, you had a cigarette. You've got so much contact with the cigarette that may also be the reason why you're having a hard time in picking one of these up and saying, I'm no longer a smoker, I'm a vapor. So I did find some WTA right down the street at the local convenience store, right between the gum and condoms. There it is. There's your WTA. If you're missing something as a vapor, go down, have a cigarette, have one in the morning, have one in the afternoon. You're still going to be the same person to me before the cigarette and after the cigarette. I'm not condoning cigarette smoking. I would love to see everybody become a 100% vapor, but you know, if you're having that struggle, nobody is going to think any less of you. And if they do, you give them my number and I'll take care of it for you. So you got the Mighty Mouse guarantee. So anyways, I start crying like a baby all the time, don't I? Well, let's see, is the music playing? I don't I tried to set this up last week and it didn't work either. Well, anyways, it's time for Mouse to head to the house. Don't forget, Sunday night, Andy Smoke the Vapes back, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Dave Kitson, the Happy Vapor. 8 o'clock Monday, Jim and Andy, the Vapor Mist. Tuesday, Cat and Sav for the Witching Hour. Wednesday, Vapor Trails Talk. If you have any questions, that reminds me, my email's right there. My email's right there. If you have any questions on WTAs, I'll answer them and I'll highlight them for next week's show. Thursday, the Hi-Fi Stud. Maybe Hi-Fi Stud will be in the next Sean Connery movie. We don't know. So anyways, people, I love you. Happy vaping. Have a great weekend. And I will catch you here. Let me see if this will work. Next Friday in the corner. This is Mighty Mouse. We'll see you. Bye.